Ah, oh, that's a very strange picture, but at least it's a picture. Well, welcome to Channeling and Stranger Things, and we have gremlins in the works, and I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I couldn't, the camera wouldn't work, and now we're getting, well, you'll just have to put up with it with me kind of all sparkly with all these strange lights around. It is Channeling and Stranger Things, but hello and welcome. And we are going to go down a quantum rabbit hole. But let me say hello to everyone's here. Elaine Gilmer, Jim, hi, Susanna, Christine, Patrick. Who else is here? That's so far so good. So, well, do you like the pretty kind of strange stuff that's going on with the lights? I really don't quite know what all that's about, but there we go. So, hello, Christine from New Jersey. Good to see you here. And we've got, and Christine, you're the other Christine Jones, you're talking about owls, wise old owls. Now, let's get down to business because, hi, Andy. Yeah, I know, Susanna. I don't know why it's doing that, but it is what it is. It's how it's going to be. So let's just bear with it. As long as it's the astral projection. I love it. It's just extraordinary. Yeah, oh well. Okay. Oh, cat hairs. So words, frequency, vibration, law of attraction, manifestation. These are words that we have bandied about for quite a few years now. I can't remember what year The Secret came out, but things have moved on at a fair old pace since Rhonda Byrne released or published her book, The Secret. And yeah, I like that, Christine. Pluto in Aquarius makes the lights look cool. I don't know what's happening, but it's okay. And, you know, I think we can overcomplicate these things. And so far, in my humble experience, what I'm discovering is that our whole essence, our consciousness, our physical body, our mind, our thinking, our behavior has to be in alignment. If all those things are in, let's say, a positive alignment with the reality that we wish to manifest, then we're onto a good wicket at that point. So thoughts are like seeds because thoughts are the ones that hold that intention. They are the um, the first part of what needs to happen. And our feelings, of course, govern our thoughts. The thought comes first, then we get the feeling. So just imagine our thoughts are fearful, or, oh, this will never work. This is not, I can't make it work. It won't work, all of this. So if that's our thought, which may be on some level so fleeting that it's just, we're so used to thinking, oh, the law of attraction, I can't make that work. It doesn't work. So that it becomes embedded somehow in our subconscious as a dominant thought, albeit unconscious. Now, so what will happen is it will make us feel something. It will make us feel maybe there'll be a slight anxiety, maybe a bit of fear. And so that as much as we might think, right, well, I'm going to make my affirmations of positivity, of Everything comes to me at the perfect time. If the rest of you isn't in alignment with that, you might just as well say the rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain because it doesn't resonate. It doesn't have a vibration. So for a phrase like everything comes to me at the perfect time, not only do your words have to be on that right vibration, your feeling has got to accompany it. You have got to know with a sense of expectancy and knowing that it makes a difference, that if you know that everything comes to you at the perfect time, you have some handle on it. Now, if we come back to behind that, we've got our thought. Supposing the thought, which is so unconscious, is this will never work, never does work, I know that, doesn't work. Then, as much as we can say, everything comes to me in the perfect time, and we can say, I feel it and I just really know it. If the thought is contrary, then what we get is a continuation of what we've always got. If you keep on doing what you've always done, you always get what you've always got. Let me just check in on your comments here. So, Jim, Andy, Susanna thought that was my eyes. Oh, the lights. Yeah, no, I mean, Jim, who are you? Who are you? I don't know. Who are you? It's the astral projection. Okay. Magic. The night eagle sits in the east, a place of illumination. Well, where I'm sitting now, the east, well, actually, it's that way. It's that way. Well, it's that. Oh, this is giving me a mirror image, so it's the wrong way. Anyway, we have to our belief has to be in alignment with the feeling that takes us into the words. This takes us back into the realms of good old basic cognitive behavioral therapy, where you learn about how to recognize your distorted thinking that will cause you anxiety, fear, paranoia, negativity. Because if you can identify the thought, which, as Jim says, is really what is the belief, these things don't work out for me, might be the belief. So then we go, okay, so this is my belief, and you feel it all through the body. It's what comes out. Then what you have to do is go, how true is that? How true is it that my thoughts and my beliefs always actually mean that nothing ever works out? Because if I think back over my life, many things have happened that have worked out. So then you've got some evidence. So then you can say, okay, sometimes things don't work out. And you see, you can change this belief. You can say, sometimes things don't work out, but maybe the universe or the divine or whatever you want to call it knows what's best for me and is actually orchestrating behind the scenes for things to unfold in the perfect way at the perfect time in what I want to do. Now, this is quite a long way to get there. So what we have to do is find a way to have a shortcut. So, you know what would be really helpful that you can do, not now, but when you're on your own sometime, write down all the thoughts that come to your mind that you think are what you think about, say, manifesting, what you think about affirmations, what you think about or I don't know, anything like that, so that you actually see it in black and white, what you really, really think, because that's your belief. Then challenge that belief, because maybe there's something there about, because I saw somebody talking here about magic. Maybe somewhere here there is something about, oh, magic doesn't work, magic doesn't happen. Well, actually, in my experience, it does. We just have to shift our thinking a bit, or our frequency, into the frequency of synchronicity. Isn't it interesting how you might be thinking about a certain person, and then there they are walking down the street towards you, and you go, "Oh, I was just thinking about you." And they go, "Oh, that's funny because you popped into my mind too." So these things happen to uh, show us that, let's use the word magic, that magic is real in a strange sort of way. So then if we come back to basics, we are energy. We are just a mass of energy and electricity and electrical charges, and we are consciousness. Now, I'm sure you are aware of the amount of research that has been taking place into the nature of what consciousness is, and does it exist outside of the physical body? So that takes us down another rabbit hole of what is consciousness. Now, that is just a question which at the moment I don't think anyone has a particular answer for. But if we just accept and say, okay, there is this energy which we call consciousness that exists in me, and it is like it's bubbling away with pure potential for us to use it to mold and sculpt the reality that we experience every day. And most of the time, our reality just happens randomly because we're not actually consciously working with it. So, what happens if we start to consciously work with it? And at that point, I'll pause and just have a look at your comments. Um, so, Christine is saying, Christine Jones, since time immemorial, humanity has been afraid of the night, the dark, and the unseen, waiting fearfully for the first crack of morning light. Now, that's interesting in itself, because it's it's as if culturally, and I don't know if this goes for every culture, we are introduced to fear at a very early age. Oh, watch out for the bogeyman, or mummy, mummy, there's a monster under the bed, or oh, is there, dear? I'll have a little look. No, he's not there now, he's gone out. Well, that's just going to continue the child's fantasy of, well, there must really be a monster. And he might have gone out, but he's going to come back and be under my bed. So, and as I quickly nip over here, because I want to see what Patrick in Netherlands is saying. Yes, Nicholas Tesla, energy, frequency, and vibration are the building blocks of the universe. And 3, 6, and 9 are the key to understanding how they work. Thank you for that. And yes, Jim, trust that the light is always there. And Christine is saying we need to be able to see in the dark. We need to accurately pinpoint and identify. This gives us great advantage. We need to become night hunters of our dreams. And Jim is saying the consciousness of which everything is made. And Christine's just brought back the fact that we have a little gremlin. It's just interesting. You see, is the little gremlin that's happening in this live a kind of an example, or a little bit of synchronicity to say, strange things happen and synchronicity happens. And why is it happening now when I'm on this channel, Channeling and Stranger Things, and it's doing this weird stuff with the light? So who knows? But to come back to consciousness, energy, and frequency, to be able to work in a coherent and productive way with, let's just say, manifestation, to attract the frequency or the energies of positive outcomes into our lives. So let's just stay with that for a moment. Now, we know on a very basic level that when we are feeling very down, very sad, very negative, depressed, we only see black things. And we probably will only focus on those in what people say to us or what the news says. And what happens then is it can become a habit, so that we are so caught in the habit of thinking these dark thoughts that it becomes very hard to break that cycle and that pattern and get out of it. And so we might think, I'll try some positive affirmations. Well, that's all very well, everything good comes to me at the perfect time. Well, maybe you think, well, that won't be much. Or there's something else going on about, I don't think affirmations work, could be another belief. So you see, if the rest of you isn't in alignment with what you're saying, what's the universe got to work with? It's going to say, well, I don't really know what she wants or he wants, because this is it's contradictory. So the words and the vibrations of the words are saying one thing, everything comes to me at the perfect time. But our beliefs and our thoughts are, nah, that won't happen. Now, I do think it takes effort to change that. So let's look at what we can do to circumvent that, to overcome it, and to get to a point where we have some mastery over not only our words and the words we choose, but also our feelings and how they align with the words that we choose. And then, of course, most importantly, our thoughts. Because remember, our thoughts are the seeds, they hold the intention. Feelings are water, they give energy and vitality to the seeds. And the words are the sunlight, because they bring what's inside into visibility and motion. Now, you imagine if the seeds are not the right seeds and the water is drowning them and the words are struggling to keep a positive spin on it, and then we wonder why nothing happens. Let me just nip down here to Christine Jones again. No one can hear our thoughts. Other people's thoughts can take energy away from another person or being. We will have to create a tendency to collect around us the people who recognize kinship. And certainly that is absolutely spot on, Christine. We need to surround ourselves with people, or like we have in our wonderful Soul Fam community, we need to be with like-minded people. And I would say within our particular group, we need to be with people that can think outside the box and can challenge what seems to be mainstream and look at how we can actually shift that into something really quite creative. Because again, if I come back to my experience, I think it takes a lot of hard work to reach a point where manifestation, or the ability to flow with the energy of manifestation, can unfold. But we have to be clear, not just about what it is we want, but also we have to give the universe a blank canvas, which can feel quite risky. Because what we have to say is, if it is on my divine path to be in a relationship with John or Mary, show me the way. And then you say, but if not, bring me someone just as nice as John or Mary, or someone better. What you will feel then is a wonderful sense of release and relief as you realize what you've actually done is let go of the outcome and allowed the universe to sort out what is best for you. Because we don't necessarily know what is best for us. We think we do, but if we keep pushing and pushing and pushing to go down a certain path or through a certain door, we may well get through that path or along that path, through that door, and encounter lots of obstacles and problems and difficulties, which if we'd stayed with the flow and the way that the universe wants us to go, we would have avoided. But then one could also argue we'd have missed out on those chances to learn, those experiences that give us substance and growth. And Christine saying, wisdom, we can see that which others cannot, which is the essence of true wisdom. That's right. And I think also as you bring others in, it's important to remember that we cannot influence another person to bend to our will. Because everybody has their own agenda, their own frequency, their own belief system, their own desires, and their own wishes for what they want to manifest. And if we're not in alignment, or they're not in alignment with the wishes that we have for them, then it's not going to work. And the thing is, you can actually, through that, you can lose the energy of something that you want for yourself because you are endeavoring to affect the other people that seem to be linked to this outcome that you want. We cannot influence how others are going to behave, because what we could end up doing is destroying that very thing we wanted in the first place. So those seeds that we were trying to nurture so carefully. So this is why it is always suggested, and any good gardener will know, that when you plant seeds, you nurture them, you water them, you give them the right amount of sunlight, but you don't keep pulling the earth back to see if they're growing. And by that same criteria, you've probably, we all say things like, I'm not going to tell you about what it is that I want because I might put a jinx on it. And that's absolutely right. Because if we let our intention of a dream out too soon, before it's taken root, before those seeds have made roots, then other people's input affects what we're trying to grow or develop, and it fails before it can even start. So let me have a look. Susanna, you're saying YouTube on manifesting, and she really resonated with you. Her system was completely different. For instance, she sits deep breaths, and then she steps outside her body into her dream life, whatever it is. And we have to do the way that feels right for us. Because if we explore all these other um, people's ways and discoveries, we can tailor make the best way for us to get into that alignment of thoughts, feelings, words, and actions. Elaine Gilmer, you keep getting the notion that somehow imagination has something to do with our ability to help sculpt a different reality. This is a new thing for your mind to try and wrap around. What are your thoughts? Yes, and the imagination is incredibly important because our reality is created from our imagination. If we're preparing a meal, to start with, it's just ingredients in a fridge or a cupboard. And then we've got to look at them and think, oh, what could I create with this? And believe me, coming from someone who doesn't cook, that's quite something to say that. Susanna, you've been doing it and feel it's working, great. And you think you can find something that resonates for you. That's the key. Absolutely. You have to find the way that works for you. What I am bringing you today is my experience, my research, and to be able to get into that space where, because there's something else which I haven't brought in yet. So we have to have our beliefs in alignment with our feelings, with our words, and with our intentions. And we have to be in the present moment. And within that, feel that feeling that would go through your physical body when you achieve what it is you want to achieve. Because if you actually, I think, visualize, or I don't know whether visualize is the right word, I think it's more feel, really feel the energy, the excitement in your belly, just, it's like your nerves tingle as you sort of think, God, this is happening. This is actually happening. And if you get into that energy, I feel in some way it cements it. It brings it into our conscious reality. Chat cut off the first part. I don't know what, Susanna, what you're saying. Patrick, you're saying it's time for wisdom united. Native American expression, knowledge is of the past, wisdom of the future. Absolutely. Christine, Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom, had a companion owl on her shoulder, which revealed unseen truths to her. The owl had the ability to light up Athena's blind side, enabling her to speak the truth. I love that. Jim is saying, my responses in the moment are the owl that tells me the truth, always. And this is where we get to the area where I do feel it is so important to know yourself so well. This is where we need to understand who we are. I mean, I'm fortunate because I was in therapy for many, many years because I trained as a psychotherapist. And in training for a psychotherapy, as a psychotherapist, you have to be in therapy yourself, and then you work with clients, and you've got all your supervision and everything. So you get an immense amount of input of working on self-knowledge and self-awareness and knowing the self. And, one of the reasons I wanted to be a psychotherapist was because I thought it might make me better, because I was so messed up. I was such a mess, anxious mess, paranoid mess, total, just couldn't cope with life. And I thought, and I'm amazed they took me on the training, but there we are, and here we are, and they did. And it was for my and what I found interesting when I started the training was that many of the people training actually were coming into it from the same angle. They wanted to feel better. They wanted to find a way to heal themselves. And so, because I think when one's done a lot of work on oneself, and there are so many ways of doing that nowadays, whether it's through one-to-one therapy, the amount of self-help books, the amount of YouTube videos and podcasts where you can really get to understand yourself. But nothing takes the place of one-on-one therapy, because working through your own agenda with another who is allowing their consciousness to be totally with you and holding that space for you is something that we rarely get in any other relationship. Let me see. Christine, if you are unaware of your power, you may take your keen insights and abilities for granted. Others never do. That's right. That's right. And I think that's bring up a really important point, because we are incredibly powerful beings. And a lot of the time, because of the dynamics of the various relationships and situations we find in life, we end up having that power diminished. We give it away. It gets projected onto others, rather than us owning that power and recognizing that even the divine mind, the universe, will listen to you and work with you with what you would like to bring into your life. Now, I think it's so helpful to get to the point where we allow the universe to have the freedom of not giving us what we're trying to manifest. Because if we can stay on the right frequency of total alignment within ourselves, then we have to say, the universe must know better than me. And if the universe knows better, that universe is telling me, don't go down this path. It won't end well. And sometimes, as you know, I'm sure you've had experiences where something steps in to divert you, to throw you off course. And it can often be a life-threatening or life-changing situation. I'm sure I've told this story before, but I'll tell it very quickly. I was driving down through Sussex once in United Kingdom to go and visit my parents, where they lived down in West Sussex. And I was very fortunate. I had a very nice car and I loved going on the country roads, putting my foot down, really, music blaring and all of that stuff. And I'm on a very straight road, and at the bottom of the road, there is a bend that goes sharply to the left. And as I was thinking about that, I was just lovely straight road, and I got stuck behind somebody going really slowly. And this was a sort of free zone. I don't think it's like that in England anymore, but this was a sort of zone where you could go, pretty fast, within the top level of the speed limit, but you could go fast. And this person is sitting in front of me in her car going slowly. And I thought, well, I'm going to get past her. So I come to go out to go past her. A voice screamed in my head, don't overtake her. Stay exactly where you are. And it was so strong, so powerful, that I actually said out loud, okay, okay. Now, at the time, is that, I don't know, paranoia? Was it a sign was it a spirit guide? Was it a star being? Was it a long lost sort of passed over relative? But when we got to the bottom of the road and turned left, you know what I'm going to say. There were two cars that had had a terrible accident. They were both on their roofs, so they'd tumbled over. And if I had gone at the speed I was going, past that woman and down that road and round the bend to the left, I'd have hit both of those cars, possibly killed both of them and myself. So that's where we haven't touched on yet the intuition. We cannot be in charge of that which we want to manifest if we are not tuned in to the right frequency of our intuition, so that we can separate out the difference between what is my paranoid thought, what is fear, and what is a true communication from somewhere, another energetic energy that wishes to tell me something. So we have to be tuned in to our inner voice. That is imperative. And if we, and the problem is the mind will often override the intuition. And that's when we get into terrible difficulties, because if we've allowed the mind to be dominant and we've crushed or just pushed out the intuition to a certain extent, then we don't give enough energy or space or consciousness to the intuitive thoughts when they come in, because we have to then go back a few thousand years, probably 100,000 years, to when we were cavemen. Just using that as a general description, but we had to use our sixth sense all the time. We had to be able to sense before we went round a rock or a big stone whether there might be a saber-toothed tiger hiding in the undergrowth about to pounce on us and kill us. So we had to be tuned in at such a level that we could pick these things up. We could think, oh no, my stomach's telling me my solar plexus is doing those little leaps. I think it's not a good idea to come out from behind this rock. Now, over the years, through automation and the Industrial Revolution, etc., we've lost the ability to be in touch fully with our intuition. Thankfully, it's coming back. Let me just check in on what's going on here. Pay attention to the signals and omens. The truth always brings further enlightenment. Absolutely, Christine. Hello, Lady Anne. Good to see you here. Nice to see you here. So how do we, let's move on to thinking about how do we make sure our thoughts, our words, our feelings, our words are in alignment with the actions we need to take to bring into our lives the reality that we wish. So how do we do that? Well, first of all, knowing yourself incredibly well. Self development and knowing the self well is one of the probably most important things we can ever do. And I'm sure many of you know that, and I'm sure Christine Jones knows this, that everything over in the archway that led into the oracle at Delphi, it has inscribed, know thyself. Because if we don't know who we are, that leads into how do we know what we really want? Because we've also got to know what we really want. Because if we don't know what we really want, then we're going to give out mixed signals to the universe. Lady Anne, you're dealing with a rotary cuff repair. Yes, that's what I had, Lady Anne. It's very painful, isn't it? You'll get over it quite quickly. I did, and it's fine now. But I'm sorry to hear you're going through that. I hope it feels better soon. So how do we get in alignment, because that's really what we're talking about, because it's the alignment we have with all these different bits of ourselves that will keep us on the frequency, that frequency that helps us tune in to the reality that we wish to manifest. But I think it's so important. If you remember when I'm on the other channel, astrology channel, and we talk about, for the highest good, and, Pam Gregory, the astrologer, talks about that it is about making your request, if you like, to the universe, and actually saying, and, for the outcome to be for the highest good of you and the highest good of everyone, because that also puts you in a win-win situation. Now, I just want to refer you to this book, The Game of Life and How to Play It, by Florence Scovel Shinn. Now, this book, and look how thin it is, tiny. This book, I can tell you, changed my life. I sound like I'm getting paid for doing the advert for this, but I'm not. But this book changed my life because it was difficult to get into, because she talks in a way that Florence Scovel Shinn wrote The Game of Life and How to Play It in 1926. She called herself a metaphysician, and she would give people what she called remedies, which would be like the one I used earlier. If John is on my divine path to be with me in a relationship, show me the way. If not, bring me someone just as nice as John or somebody better. And then you're in a win-win situation. But if you're so fixed on John, there's nothing that the universe can do with that, because perhaps it's not on John's path. Because we have to remember, it's not just us. There are other energies that come into being part of the things that we wish to manifest. So, John, whoever John is, might be saying, good God, no, can't abide the woman. Probably not, I'm sure not. But do you see what I mean? So, and also sometimes if we're so hell-bent on getting something, and we do get it, which can happen, we then find out, as I've said earlier, we're in a worse situation than we were before. It's almost then like the universe or the divine says, you want it? Okay. Don't say I didn't tell you. Don't say I didn't warn you. Let me see what you've been to Delphi, Christine, and touched the ancient stones of the Sibyl. Oh, how wonderful. Jim, we can call upon the truth known by the whole of ourselves. That's a good way of doing it, made of divine consciousness. I love that. Actually, that's beautiful, because then you're almost calling on your ancestors. You're calling on your past life experiences, future life experiences. So let's imagine time is like a flat plate, and we just move from point to point in our various lives around this flat plate. And all our consciousness is everywhere. And remember, the sense or the feeling of the way, from my understanding, the way quantum physics is beginning to think or unfold. And believe me, I'm not an expert. This is what I'm reading, researching, and learning about. And I'm absolutely not an expert, but and I've lost my thread. There we go. I've lost my thread. But the thing is, that's right about consciousness. So the theories around that everything has consciousness. So this has consciousness. I have to show you this. It arrived a couple of days ago from Amazon. I don't know whether you remember, I talked about I might get a scrying mirror. It arrived. I haven't actually tried to use it yet because I'm frightened what I might see, but isn't that cool? So I might do a YouTube live again on this channel just using this. and see what I can see and answer your questions. But not tonight. That's for another time. But that has consciousness. This has consciousness. This has consciousness. We already know from the work they've done with water that if you intend peace, love, healing, which I'm just doing healing and peace and love into my water, it's going to make me feel great. And they've done so many experiments with water, and you can make it happy or sad. Patrick saying, if you don't know who you are, you cannot help another. Absolutely, you cannot. The energy also negative will be projected onto you. That's right. We have to understand. Yes, I will do it, Elaine. Don't worry, I will. Christine, we need to think about the giveaway eagle. The philosophy of giving away, it's the deep and abiding recognition of the sacrifices of both self and others. That's interesting. Now, I remember when in the old days, when I first started learning and trying to get a handle on all these different practices, that Deepak Chopra, in his book called The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success, which still holds absolutely true, beautiful little book. And one of the things he says is you have the intention, and he called it, you put it in the gap. And what he meant by that was he called the gap, that was his terminology, the field of pure potentiality, which we could say is the plasma field or the energy field or even the consciousness field, the consciousness of the divine. Let's just quantify it like that. And then you let it go. And what you have to do then, in his interpretation, was you trust that the universe would take care of the details. So that if what you want is meant to come to you, it will come. But it's about allowing it to come in the best possible way. And what happens is we get in our own way. And then if we're in our own way, we're blocking that energy flowing through us. And so, it's like, in very simple terms, we have to look at our inner truth, our inner coherence. Is the thought I'm having loving or fearful? Because if we're caught in fearful thoughts and we're trying to manifest, then the fearful thought will override everything. And then we can say, do my feelings support what I want or contradict it? So then you've got to feel through the body. Does my feeling, does it resonate? Or is there some bit of me that's thinking, oh, I don't know do I really want this? Is this really what I want? And you know how random the thoughts can just go, they go all over the place. So you have to really have quite a good command of your own energy, because then you have to say, are the words I'm uttering from the feelings and the thoughts, are they affirming trust or are they repeating doubt? And, Florence Scovel Shinn, who wrote The Game of Life and How to Play It, talked about words are your wands, words are spells. And, it suggested that's why we call spelling, because it's making spells. And the words we use are incredibly important. And being able to stay in alignment with that which you wish to manifest takes a lot of energy. But I think if I use myself as an example again and just talk about this planned relocation to England, I've now had more or less a year to go over the yes, I do, no, I don't, yes, I do, no, I don't, yes, I do. And what's been interesting in the process of that is that each time it's like I've got closer and closer to being in alignment with my whole body, thoughts, and feelings with yes, this is what I want, it's right. I mean, okay, yes, this is a pretty big thing that I have been working on. And obviously, then you also have to do the practical things to see about it actually happening. And so, and yet there is a part of me that says, if it takes longer than I would have liked, it'll be because when I get to that point, I will see why it had to take that time. There will be a learning in that. And if it never came at all, there will also be a learning in that, because if it didn't come at all, it'll probably be because at that point, I've made a conscious choice to not do it. So, we do actually, and that's another thing, we have choice. We always have choice. And so, bearing that in mind, if we're trying to get into things where we are endeavoring to affect what others do as part of the thing we're manifesting, won't work. Won't work because you've got too many conflicting energies, too many conflicting frequencies, and you cannot. And this is where we get into, if you like, the realms of true magic. You cannot, it is almost like an unwritten law you cannot influence how another thinks or what they choose to do. You cannot influence another's choices. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, because it does. But you could say it's coercive control. Because if something is going to be for the highest good of yourself and of others, then it has to come through the pure alignment of what you've initially thought. I need, you could say, I'm looking for my life to become more abundant. Yes, sometimes we have to do something about that. And there are lots of lessons along the road towards abundance, of lack. But we have to look with abundance as, how much is my seeds, my thoughts, my feelings in my body, my emotions, how much are those feelings and those emotions in alignment with abundance coming to me, having more abundance in my life, in whatever form? And that's quite difficult, because when people have suffered a lot of hardships, it can be very difficult to get on a frequency of absolute trust, faith, and belief that you can attract more abundance in. And that's where then we come back to knowing yourself well. And I'm going to bring this to a close soon. So this is sort of like the last little part, and then I'll have a look at what we've been saying. But if we're always staying on a frequency of lack, because I think lack is a very easy frequency that we get on. Oh, I'll never win the lottery. Oh, it won't happen to me. All those negative bits that we put in, and we just go, ding, 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 I am attracting abundance. I am attracting abundance. No, you're not, because the rest of you is saying, never works, doesn't work. So what you have to do is know that the abundance will come, but it won't necessarily come in the way you think. Because sometimes it might show up in small ways, just to give you a little bit of a helping hand. Like you find a $5 bill on the pavement, on the sidewalk, to use American language. And you think, oh, that's interesting. And you've just been doing your abundance ritual. And it might show up in that you get an unexpected job opportunity, which will bring in some extra money. So I think it's about really broadening our mindset in those things. That's interesting what you're saying, Jim, about we are never denied forward motion. And I just want to see what Christine said. Spectators unfamiliar with the cultural phenomenon of the pot latch or giveaway ceremony are mystified by it. We may give away all we own and do without to help people. Choices are key. Absolutely, choices are key. In present, and Christine again is saying, in present day urban life, we're taught to squire and get ahead. No one can win the game unless the whole of the people's needs are met. And that is where the current state of our collective society worldwide has got so stuck, because you've got the people who've got it all at the top, and then it graduates down to the bottom where the don't haves. So you've got the haves and the have-nots. And so if we're a have-not and we're trying to get ourselves into alignment with the frequency of being a have, then I think it has to be a to have for the highest good of myself and the highest good of others. And it also has to be that you keep your awareness open for the opportunities that the universe can present you, because sometimes we just don't see them because we're fixated on a certain way to have that abundance, rather than, oh, you mean if I dog walk your dog for the next 2 weeks, you're going to give me, $20 a day? Oh, okay. And it may not seem like a lot, but it's the energy of it. And the more the energy, and the more we can attract that energy, it starts to shift our frequency into the alignment of the house. Because then you'd be able to say with absolute certainty, abundance comes to me easily. I am never short of abundance coming to me, whether it be love, food, money, opportunities. Abundance flows to me and through me. So on that note, I'm going to start just winding this down. I just want to give you some words that elevate energy. So there's words like, I am becoming abundant, instead of, I can't see how that's going to happen. Okay? I trust the process, instead of, I hope it works. I hope keeps it out there. Whereas I trust the process helps you get in alignment with that manifestation frequency. And I choose peace instead of, oh, I wish for calm. No. Wishes are wishes. I wish to win the lottery tonight. I won't, because I haven't got a ticket. We have a midweek lottery in Malta and Gozo, and it just popped into my mind. But I thought, well, it's too late because I haven't got a ticket, so I can't win it. But you see, you can say, I choose to live a life of abundance. Don't specify at this point what that abundance is, but I choose to always have my needs met. So there are many, so coming back to where we started with our words and the vibrations of our words and the energy of our words is, it comes back to those very simple CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy principles. You've got to be aware of the unconscious thought, which is a belief. You've then got to see how that makes you feel. Then, from that feeling, you've got to think, so I need to take action. If I want to attract abundance into my life, I need to do some action. And say, with me, I might think, oh, well, I better do a marketing campaign to attract more abundance, for example. And then you've got to find the words that align with the way back down that ladder. So then I would say, I choose to do some marketing which will bring me opportunities for abundance. And so it's about being so particular and really policing your thoughts, your feelings, and your words. Now, I think if you can actually, this is where the imagination can be very helpful. If you imagine what it would actually feel like to get that which maybe you've never got but you really want, whatever that might be, maybe it's winning the lottery, whatever it is, the love of your life, the perfect, beautiful house, the this, the that. And I haven't even touched on vision boards. Don't get me down that rabbit hole. We'll do that another time. But you can actually inhabit the frequency. I'll tell you something I did, and I really will. This will be the last story. A few years back, actually about 12, 15 years ago, probably soon after I came across this book, which changed my life, I thought, right, I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to choose to win the lottery this week. And it was for the Wednesday night. And obviously I bought the ticket. It's a good start, isn't it? It's a good start. And I decided, right, what I'm going to do is over the next 3 days, I thought, I shall just imagine through my whole body what it's going to feel like when I have a winning ticket. And I tell you, I put so much energy into it, which is not the best way to do this because it's not actually what it's about, but it shows that there's something you can do which aligns you with a frequency. I put so much energy into manifesting the feeling of wow and oh my God, it worked kind of feeling. So I really worked on that. And I thought, oh my God, I've got the winning ticket. I've got the winning numbers. So I'd really put all my energy into that. And then the Wednesday evening came and I'm sitting there with my mother, because that's when I was looking after my mother. And the numbers come up on the television. And I just went, oh my God, it worked. How it worked was not the jackpot and not just 10 euros, 350 euros. That's about, I don't know, $400. I was just like flabbergasted. And I think it was almost like the divine mind saying, okay, let's give you this experience so that you can see that you're getting warm, you're getting close to understanding what you have to do to maintain a frequency of alignment. So, okay, let's have a look and see what you have to be in it to win it. That's right, Christine. So let's see. We're taught to squire and get ahead. No one can win the game unless the whole of the people's needs are met. Yeah. Squire is actually, acquire. Yeah. The person who gives away the most and carries the burdens of the people is the one most respected. True. Serving the whole. Absolutely. Service is a wonderful way to attract abundance. Service works. Paying, it's like they used to call it tithing, tithes. You pay away, you pay ahead, or you pay up front. So for instance, I'm sitting down for coffee with you, Jim, and I go, no, I'm getting this and the croissant, it's on me. And it's totally unexpected for you. And then you probably meet someone later in the day and you go, same thing. You get them their coffee. And maybe they really did need to have it bought for them. So it's that kind of tithing, which is actually energetically very powerful. And the person serving the whole, virtues are many, celebrate and transcend self. You have to be in it to win it. So listen, guys, I did not think I would talk for over an hour. on this topic. That's paying it forward. That's the phrase. Yes, paying it forward. And it works. It works. This, as you can see, I've only scratched the tip of the iceberg today. There is so much in all of this. And maybe what I'll do is a live, I don't know, once a month and just continue with this particular topic and subject. If you would like it, let me know in the live chat or in the chat afterwards, the comment section, if you would like this as a regular once a month feature for the time being, until we're all such experts at it. We're all teaching someone else. Elaine, hello. Thank you so much for this today, Penny. It was much needed. That's good. Hope you have a wonderful day. Well, it's nearly bedtime, actually. It's 7:10 in the evening. Yes, okay, Christine, I will do. Christine Buckingham, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you all for coming here. I think it's wonderful. We've got this lovely sparkly lights. And Jim, you're enjoying the nourishing frequency. Jim, Christine, Solfam, mwah, all of you, you are amazing. And I just can't thank you enough for the support you give me. You see, if we keep talking about this, we can learn it together, because I'm not an expert. I've just done my research. I'm just researching all the time because I want to get better at it. I want to understand it so I can pay it forward. I want to be able to help other people see how they can be in charge of their thoughts, which are their beliefs, their unconscious thoughts and beliefs, which are dictating how they feel, which dictate what they say, and then they get an outcome, which, if all of those before have been negative, is not good. That's what I want to do. Forward motion. Sounds great, Christine Buckingham. Thank you. Excellent. So, on that note, I will, of course, be back on Sunday night live on Astrology with Penny Dix, and we will be doing our normal week ahead forecast, the Sunday Astro Witter. Yes, abundance for all. Absolutely. I certainly wish abundance for all of you, and an ability to really get your handle round, your head round all of this understanding of how to work with these frequencies. And as Susanna Secret said earlier, you have to find the way that works for you. If it works, excellent, do it. I'm just giving you the benefit of the different ways and avenues I've worked with. And I don't think it has to be as hard as sometimes we make it. Okay, so on that note, I will see you all very soon. And remember, the new moon in Libra video should be up tomorrow on my astrology channel. And this Saturday, I've got Keith Ilul, who is the head of the UFO group in Malta, having an interview with me on this channel, and it will go up on Saturday. And we're going to be looking at 3i Atlas, the other comets that are whizzing round, and anything strange and mysterious that's been going on lately. So that's coming up on Saturday. So, oh, Christine, you live in Sussex, New Jersey. How funny. I'm not actually from Sussex, I'm from Kent, but I'm moving back to Sussex. So it's 10 a.m. in the morning for you. Yeah, it's nighttime here. It's absolutely pitch black. So I'm going to go and feed the pussycats, and then early night. All right, my loves, I'll see you very soon. And thanks for being here. You're all awesome. Bye for now. Bye.